Vinny Kilkeary alongside of me on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Vinny, welcome aboard. It's been a while, I'm sure, and a lot to take in since the last time we talked as you won your second gold medal up at States. So very nice to see you. How have the
Thanks
past
for
few
having
weeks
me.
been for you? Kind of like soaking it all in.
Yeah, I mean, I took a couple practices off just to let my body rest, and it's kind of important to me to let my body rebuild a little before I kind of tear it down again, just to let it rebuild. So it was important to take a week off, do some stuff that out of wrestling that I really enjoy, and then Tuesday I got back into it.
What were some of the things you've been doing? Today you told me you were in a badminton tournament. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so in gym class we do a we do a badminton tournament, and me and one of my buddies, his name's Vinny too. We schooled everyone, so we
So
have
you were
fun.
the winner.
Oh yeah,
Was it an all
yeah,
day type of tournament or just like a gym class tournament?
just a gym class tournament. So it was like I think it was a 16-man bracket, but teams of two, so 16 teams.
Oh, dang. Okay. So it was a legitimate win.
Legit.
At least you have a backup plan now. But part of your refueling, I'm sure, is what you're eating. And I'm a woman of my word. And for everyone out there who doesn't know, Vinny Kilkeary and I discovered that we were both fans of popcorn chicken bowls from KFC. And nobody else was. It was really weird, actually. Everyone thought we were like super gross for saying that. But
They're amazing.
I think they're really good. And I told Vinny at the end of the season, if he won, I would get him a popcorn chicken bowl. So don't worry, I still owe you one, and I didn't
That's right. Good. Yeah.
forget.
I mean, I went a little wild last week, and I'm starting to hone back in on it. I think I'm gonna start my diet for World Team Trials here in about 2 weeks. Start like easing my way down, and then make that final cut, because cutting all at the end sucks, and I feel like crap. So I definitely don't want to do that. But kind of just still letting myself enjoy enjoy the foods I love right now, but then starting to hone back in on my diet.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing to give yourself everything that you were missing out on for a while as well. So we got to get that popcorn chicken bowl in before you got to start cutting
I
again.
can't
So
wait.
we'll work
Oh
that
yeah.
out. And we'll work that out after this. But World Team Trials coming up. When is that? And when do you have to really be ready to start training harder for that?
Last weekend of April is when it is. So I'm gonna I'm gonna start my real training cycle next Tuesday. So that's when I practice every single day, lift, run, get back in conditioning, and well, it's a new style, so I have to completely transition to that. So that starts next Tuesday, and about a month. It's about a month from I think this weekend.
I know you're a guy who likes to go upper body with people. And though that's something we can talk about this year that you had to change a little bit, I'm sure that kind of translates well in freestyle. Do you enjoy that aspect of the throws in freestyle, the different ways you can score?
Definitely. I love how you get rewarded for trying stuff like that, because sometimes in folk style, you could throw someone through the air, they touch their back and roll off, and you get a whistle. That's all you get. So it's like rewarding to see that stuff that you're you're good at, and stuff that sometimes doesn't work is now going to work for me in this style. It's just I can't completely take away my shots, because that's when I start getting off my game. But just gotta keep going.
Yeah, freestyle is a really fun side of
It's
wrestling
awesome.
to watch. And it's crazy because you can see a wrestler who is so good in folk style. And then in freestyle, it's like, oh man, he's not as competitive. But a lot of guys transition easier, but it is an adjustment. I know wrestling's wrestling, but it is an adjustment. You see a lot of guys kind of struggle at first to figure out how to reevaluate themselves as an athlete.
Oh no, definitely. I think that it's important to do both, because after college, that's all you're going to have, really, unless you're on one of these cards that's doing a folk style event. Most than likely, they do freestyle now, because it's just what they do. So I have to I have to be able to translate that very quickly right after season, and then get back right for Super 32. So it's almost like I love freestyle. It used to be my favorite style, but I like folk style a lot. But it's kind of just translated to it teaches you so much. It makes you true to your shots. And if you make one mistake, you're getting 2-2-2-2 match over. So I think that it teaches you a lot.
I like how it forces you it forces a lot of action, especially on your feet, but
It
also
does.
you can't back up, you can't stall, because then you're giving up points when it matters. So I think it's such a valuable side of the sport for a lot of guys to start younger with, to be honest, because it teaches you a lot of those valuable things that can help you in a folk style match.
Oh, definitely. I think it taught me how to shoot better, how to like go forward like I do. I think because if you don't, you get immediately punished on the shot clock or passivity. I mean, a couple passivity calls and the match can be over.
Mm-hmm.
So it just teaches a kid to always go forward. And I like that because I hate when kids stall. So
well, speaking of different things you might have learned, let's look back at this year a little bit. Last year you came short of your goal, and coming into this year, it seems like you've been a different person, in my opinion. And a lot of people have asked me, like, why do you say that? What is it about him? And I was like, I can't put my finger on it, but as an interviewer and someone that follows you guys on a different level, just the conversations that we get to have off the mat, I just have seen such a shift in you and how you approach your matches before and, more importantly, after that mentality. And there just seemed to be an ease about you this year where nothing felt like the world had just ended. Whereas we look at the beginning of last year, there was a moment you had lost at Cannon Mac. And I'll never forget that moment because it felt like crushing almost. I feel like the way you were taking it, and then you were able to come out of it. But it's more like, wow, I just see this completely different person and how he's approaching it. So what do you think the biggest mindset shift has been for you in the past season?
I mean, I think I this is probably the most fun season I've ever had on and off the mat. Like, I came into this year like committed, which is people don't get, like, that puts a lot of stress on you. Like, I loved every second, and I was very fortunate to deal with the best coaches in the country. Super nice, everybody I talked to, but it is stressful. It's your biggest life decision yet. So with that off my back, I didn't feel like I had to win anything. Like, obviously me, I want to win everything, but I wasn't pushed to win anything. Like, I wanted to go have fun everywhere. I feel like I went on to the mat focused, but super relaxed. Like, I took a chill mindset into everything. I know I get very intense with stuff, but I learned from losing at Powerade. It honestly taught me so much that the little things like that you can't get stuck up on because it'll tear you down immediately. So I went into this year with the easy mindset of have fun. And I feel like it made my year so much more fun. And I feel like I wrestled so much better having so much more fun. It was just
it just didn't seem like the weight of the world was on your shoulders every single match. You were just able to let go. And a lot of the times that helps your style out a lot more. You're not as afraid to throw some things out there and try different stuff that, you know, typically you just do in a practice room. And I think that translated so well for you. Do you think that any of that success and fun had anything to do with the team success that had as well? Because I feel like you went straight from team fun into individuals. Like, it just, you never had that pause of like, oh, like it was just always fun.
Yeah. So one day in practice, I come
Make sure you're not covering your mic, Vin. You're a little muffled here. I just want to make sure.
Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah. Better?
Yep.
Yeah, my finger's on the bottom of my phone. So I come into practice and I'm wrestling with Jack. I'm wrestling super loose. I'm just trying stuff. And he's like, and I almost got the best of him. And he goes, why don't you wrestle like that all the time? And I stood up for a second. I'm like, man, why don't I wrestle like that all the time? So that's when it really started coming through. And then, like you said, with team stuff, it just felt like it never ended. Like there was no cut in action, which was super helpful because when you get breaks is when silly stuff happens. So I thought, like, I just had, like, our team was so easygoing. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, if you don't win, you guys are running sprints, or oh my God, if you don't win, like this, and this. And I'm like, it's just easygoing.
Mm-hmm. And it's so important to surround yourself with people like that and teammates who bring out the best in you. Like you said, that moment you had with Jack. But I think you also helped bring out the best in them as well. Having those guys get to follow you, like Jack and Corey and Willie, to states and get to have those moments with them. Watch Jack run the gauntlet. Watch Corey have to work so hard in a really competitive weight class. Watch Luke Willishell make the finals. I mean, so many awesome moments. And I know you were a part of that success because of the leader that you were. So how awesome was it to be able to share that success with them and see them also get to share those moments of glory?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I've learned so much from, I think from my eighth grade year till now, is such a big difference. And I give that all to my mindset. Obviously there's work, but I give it all to my mindset, and I try my hardest to share that with people, even though it sounds silly, but it's so hard just like to give someone else your mindset. But I think with those three, especially Jack, because me and him are like this constantly. And I was like, Jack, this is how you have to approach this. It's worked for me. I think you should really try it. And we went with that all year. And obviously at the end it worked. And I just loved being there with them, just seeing that smile on their face when they get their goals. It's almost satisfying to see, like, this kid started here, now look at him. And it was just fun to see, and that no one deserves it as much as they do.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch you guys as well and share those successes and the moments of ups and downs and trials and tribulations all year long. But something that was also so funny to me is the way Luke Willishell approaches things. He's so goofy and funny and just young. And he constantly was telling me how bad he wanted to get that pin record this year. Did he end up getting it in states?
No. So
no?
they messed up on PA wrestling. And in Colorado, they put a pin where he texts someone. So it says he's winning by 1, but we're actually tied. But I'm gonna let him have the plaque. He can have the plaque. But we tied. We tied technically, but I think I could have had a couple or 2 more pins at states. I had kids on their backs. So it should have finished. But I'm super happy. Like, he came into the room and he's like, Vinny, I'm gonna be honest with you. PA wrestling's lying. I'm like, what do you mean? And he told me, and he's like, I wouldn't be happy to share the word with someone. And that meant a lot to me. And I love that about him. It's not like, I'm not like, Luke, I want to beat you in this award. I'm happy for him to get that. Like, you know how much a confidence booster that is? And that's just great. And I'm not salty about it. Like, if he beat me, he beat me. Like, it's cool. And that's awesome. So it's great for that. And as much as I don't want to say it, me and Luke are polar opposites in that way. I have fun, but not in that way.
Right.
But we match in the act of doing, like I said, like, helping them through that tournament since I've been there my freshman year. So just tell them to keep focused. I know it's easy to get off track with that stuff and just keep focused. But like I said, I'm happy to get to share that with him.
It was so fun watching those little behind the scenes competitions. And yes, you want to win them, but you're just as excited for your teammates' success. And it was really fun to see him have someone to compete with that he also really looked up to. And he respected you a lot in the conversations that I've had with him. So kudos to you on really accepting him and helping him in his career in his freshman year. I know it was big for him. But for you to finally put that gold medal around your neck again after everything that you had to relearn about yourself as a wrestler from last year to this year, how did you really absorb that moment a few days after? Because it's one thing to have that immediate reaction, but sitting there and thinking about what you did a day or two after, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it felt completely different than my freshman year. I feel like my freshman year was a shocker, I guess you could say. Because no one knew really who I was. So coming into this year, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to work until I do it. So it was almost like a breath. But then to be honest with you, like the 2-time thing, like it never really took me over. Like I never really overthought it. And I really don't want to, because I want to move on. Like that medal was awesome. Don't get me wrong. Winning states is so awesome, but I don't want to get caught up on stuff, because that's how you get caught in general. So I kind of, obviously I wore it all night, took it home, showed everyone. And I'm like, showed my whole family. And then I'm like, it's time to put this one on the wall. It's time to go get the next one. So it's honestly like I won it. Awesome. This was great. Love the experience, but it's time to move on.
Yeah, I think that's a really mature way to look at it too, because the more you start to win, the bigger your goals get, and you can be appreciative for something, but the job's never done. And
No.
I think that's a really awesome way to look at it, because you can't linger with something too long.
No.
Then it just starts to be you're okay with where you are. And I think in your career, you're just taking those steps forward. And into Ohio State, we saw the OH celebration. You know, I think it's funny watching guys now at states. I feel like back in the day, no one really wore their college shirts as much, but you guys all had them on. I don't know if it's like the excitement level or just the relief, but how excited are you to be a Buckeye and get to share those moments there, knowing Coach Ryan was also in the stands?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I endorse that so much, just because of who they are and where I'm going. Like I love that program that much, that in high school, I know where I am now still, with obviously Latrobe, that's my home, Young Guns, stuff like that. But also looking into the future, that's where I'm going to go. And I love to endorse it. Just the great people on the coaching staff that have taught me so much in such a little amount of time. Like you can see the changes it's made already. Like there's no reason that I feel like I shouldn't be wearing that, because I think that's a huge part of me now. So I think it's kind of like wearing a brand, I guess you could say. Like Ohio State is now part of my brand of, I don't know, I just love the way that they do it. And that's really why I wear it.
Yeah, well, we're trying to increase Vinny's brand as well. We've been working on his social media this year.
We have. I got a Twitter. Actually, Hannah made me a Twitter, but I got a Twitter.
Vinny now has a Twitter. He's got some good pictures to put out there, so everyone make sure you follow him. He's gonna keep up with the content. We've had some fun with that, but it's important to have a brand now. We talked about it. It's money opportunities, but as well as making sure that you're putting the best version of yourself out there and being able to defend who you are as a person, right?
Right. You could build yourself, or you could crash yourself in an instant. Social media is so good, but yet so bad. Like you said, it's almost like a business in a way. Like once you get in college, obviously it's huge now, which we'll see what happens. But I like that. I like that I can perform, and then the way I perform reflects what I get. So I think it's important, like you said, you got to put yourself out there, but you got to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the people around me, like obviously you helped me a lot with that. My parents, everything I post goes through them. I usually run it through you and a couple other people before it goes out, obviously, just to make sure that I'm not saying anything derogatory, or that I'm just trying to motivate in myself and other people. That's really my goal with social media. I'm not a huge social media person, but I know that's what you have to do now. It's just kind of the way of the road. So
yeah, it's just really important to be able to just control your narrative, essentially. Yes. So just always remember that. And yeah, to all the young athletes out there looking for social media advice, let us know. We're on the way to helping you get there.
We are.
Make sure you're in control of your narrative and being aware of what could be said about you out there, what you could say, be careful what you're posting. But Vinny, there was also a moment that I guess could be a social media moment, a big highlight, something fun that happened at States after you won. You went and headlocked Coach Snyder, Coach Mears, called the pin. But take me through that headlock, because Coach Snyder told me he was so worried he almost rolled through and squished you after that. Was your heart a little scared there?
Yeah. So we're in the hotel room, right? And we're literally about to, Coach walks in his suit. All of them have ties on. I'm in my underwear. I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, are we leaving right now? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to need 5 minutes. And then we're standing there. I'm like, coach, so celebration. I know we've talked about this before. You said lat drop. One, I'm scared for my life. And two, I feel like I'd be imitating someone. And Coach Dominic goes, headlock him. And I'm like,
The
you're
Vinny
brilliant.
Kilkeary staple.
You're brilliant. So I shake the coach's hands. I run across and I put my arms out and I'm like, here we go. But he's so much bigger than me. The momentum just carried through so much that it was, if I wouldn't have rotated my hips, we both would have been laying there for a second.
Yeah, I think
But
it was a little scary. And he was worried too. So I'm glad he was athletic enough to kind of react to it. So
yeah,
things didn't go south fast.
No, it was just awesome. Coach calling the pin, Coach Mears, and just me in that moment. It's just, I was living in that moment right there. And it was the cap off of the night. Always like when go over there, do that with my coaches, that bonding was just awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch as well. And everyone in the arena was like holding their breath when they saw it happen because of how much bigger he is. I mean, for everyone who doesn't know Coach Snyder,
That's why I did
Division I heavyweight. So
yeah, he is. It literally David versus Goliath is what it looks like.
Yeah. Well, there was also a lot of David versus Goliath moments. I feel like at the NCAA tournament this weekend, you had the opportunity to be there in person, correct?
I did. It was awesome.
Yeah. The NCAA tournament's like unlike anything I've ever seen.
It is. It's great.
It's so much fun to be at in person as well. So when you were there, I know right now you're going to be looking to take your wrestling again to the next step. Like you said, hang the medal on the wall and work toward the next one. What were some things watching that tournament that you think could help take you to that level, to the next level of college and Division I, and compete with those guys and be at that tournament one day?
Yeah. So obviously I had to do takeaways from it. Mm-hmm. So like I had a list of things that I saw there, and I'm gonna ask like my college coach is like, is this actually what happens here? And then I have to start incorporating that more and more as I go on to kind of excel myself to that college level, almost maybe before I get there. You know what I mean? Because that'll help me get an early shot at it. So I think going there and watching it live is so important to kind of break down what they're doing in the moment. So I watched the 125 pounders because obviously I'm probably going to be a 4-year 125 pounder. And I saw what they did, and I just focused on that so much. Watched every 125 pound match I could get my eyes on. And I feel like that, watching that, breaking that down and taking it back to the room over the next 2 years is going to help me a ton in getting to that.
Whose style do you want to emulate? Who do you think you could emulate the best?
Oh man.
Or that I think you took the most away from, maybe. Because I know you want to be your own person, but whose style do you think stuck out the most to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love how Glory went forward, no matter who he was wrestling. I think that was huge to watch him take it to Vito there. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they scramble a lot better than I do, so it's kind of hard to compare it to that. But the way Glory went forward in that tournament, like even versus Siriano, went forward and got, I think, 4 stall calls, which is insane in the national finals. So I think that imitates my style as much as, like you said, obviously we want to build my own character, but that, I think that would be most likely how I would go at it in a way. Mm-hmm. So
just be probably more of the grinder in those matches and not so much like, certain guys are going out there and they're going to be funky and they're going to roll, but stick to the basics,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of that tournament when you watch, and I was sitting there watching some with my dad, and he's like, they're doing the simplest things. They're not doing anything crazy. I mean, you have your like RBY who's going to do a few things that you're like, that's just pure athleticism, not even really wrestling. There's guys like that, but for the most part, guys are doing your basic stuff out there.
No, like I looked at my dad and I was like, Dad, I don't know if I've seen like a sophisticated shot yet. Like they've all been like kind of just dropping to the legs, scrambling and winning the scramble, which was insane to me, but also like one of the takeaways that I have to take from that.
It's just, it's just, if you believe in yourself and work hard and get the basics and fundamentals right, who knows, the possibilities are endless, and we can be hearing Vinny Kilkeary's Walkout Song through the national tournament, making his way to the finals. It's not far off, and it's coming faster than you think. If you could have a walkout song, do you have an idea of what it would be? I know Pat Glory came out to Glory Days, Bruce Springsteen, Big Papa, Gable Steveson. There were some fun ones.
Obviously, I'm going to probably have to go with God's Gonna Cut You Down.
All right.
Johnny Cash.
Yep.
I mean,
all right, we're going to manifest that now. We'll see if your approach happens later, but who knows? Maybe we'll be doing an interview post NCAA championship. That's a song you had run out to. This could be a cool full circle moment one day.
It could be. I mean, Luke had a great walkout song. Family Tradition.
Family Tradition was great.
You can't beat Family Tradition, but I can't copy him. So I think God.
All right. Well, I'll tell him that. I'll tell him you thought he had a good walkout song. He did. The crowd. You got to give one that the crowd loves, because that's.
They loved it. Everyone was singing it. Yeah.
It's fun. It makes it a lot of fun. But Vinny, I'm really happy for you and to see the person you've turned into this year. And we still get more of you next year at the high school level. That's so exciting. I know so many young guys are going to be coming through that Latrobe lineup as well. But you don't really lose many either. I know you lose your buddy Jack, but for the most part, you guys keep a pretty solid lineup. So it's going to be really exciting to see how the Wildcats take advantage of this off season and what you guys should shape up to be next year. So best of luck to you in that, World Team Trials, everything that's going to be happening. And I'll be sure to get you that KFC bowl before you have to.
Thanks, Hannah.